Hi everyone and welcome along. So we're heading into the second part of November. Christmas is approaching fast and I know for some of you it's all about Thanksgiving, but I wanted to start looking at some simple Christmas card designs because for those of you who like to paint your designs, you need some time to get them done because you've probably got plenty to do. So for the next few tutorials, in the run-up to the watercolour advent calendar, we are looking at wintry and Christmas designs. So the first one today is this lovely Christmas bauble with a little bit of metallic on it, metallic gold. It's such a lovely one because as we'll get into it, but you'll see the colour palette isn't necessarily all about Christmas or winter, but you can really adapt these beautiful sort of floral patterns, simple shapes, simple strokes to create something that is just perfect to send at Christmas. So grab your paints and let's get started. So we're going to be doing a few Christmas card designs over the next few sessions before we launch into the watercolour advent calendar. And each time I'm using watercolour paper that I've just folded and scored to create really fantastic greetings card raw materials. So you don't need any different kind of paper and card. And of course we want to paint our designs right onto it. So really you just want to stick with watercolour paper. Now, Pyrrole Orange has been a colour I have loved using this year. So I feel like it's going to be the hero colour in my card. And you'd think orange Christmas? Well, you'd be surprised actually how you can turn most colours into something really festive. So I've just diluted it right down to be really nice and pale and transparent, and I've got a size 8 pointed round brush, and we are going to go straight in and paint in a Christmas ornament bauble shape, and it'll probably be a bit wonky and a little bit quirky, bit characterful, but the whole point of learning projects for Christmas card painting is that they need to be easily repeatable and also fairly quick. So that is the first bit, and it's lovely and pale. That's a beautiful pale peachy colour. And whilst we let that dry, and also whilst I just clear that little space in my palette for the moment, we're going to think about complementary colours. Now when I say complementary, I mean harmonious colours really, because I'm not talking about colours necessarily all either side of the colour wheel. Because what I want to do is make a colour palette of tones that we're going to layer up over the top with a lovely festive design. And I think actually this pale peach is the perfect background baseline colour to put in some quite classic festive colours. So I've got alizarin crimson there, deep sap green, but then I do like throwing in a little bit of a curveball, and I'm going to take some of this aqua green, bring this into the mix. I think those will all be really nice. And then maybe we'll make a nice blush colour with the Pyrrole Orange, and my water needs changing if I'm going back into the nice orangey tones. So I'll take a bit of Pyrrole Orange, but I'm going to mix it with Opera Rose, which is just such a wonderful colour to enhance others. Pyrrole Orange and Opera Rose sort of feel like they come from the same corner of colours. Just really bright, vibrant, very cheerful, quite luminous in a way. So I'm just going to keep on adding more Opera Rose into that, and then we will have a really nice set of colours. And I think also, a little bit of yellow ochre might also be a good colour. So I've got those ready. I just need to let this dry, and then we can have some fun painting a really nice design on top of this. So my bauble, my ornament is dry, and I've got my colours ready. So I'm going to start off with like pale colours, dilute colours, and you could just take the colour in your palette and just add a bit of water to it to get it that little bit paler for you, because we're going to build up. And I'm just going to use my size 2 brush and just have a little bit of fun painting in a lovely floral design. And as you see, I'm not worrying myself about too much precision. I just want to create a lovely sort of expressive design on the bauble. So just using my brush, and of course there'll come a point where you sort of come up to the edge, so you just want to be careful about how you get to the edge. But I'm using the tip of my brush and the belly of it just to really get a range of tones. And the other thing I'll do is maybe just sort of place in a few other colours. And at this point I'm not necessarily sure sort of what this is, but I just know that I want to build up the colour and shape. And then of course we've got our cooler tones as well, and I want to just give them different looks essentially. So I'm just going to fill up the bauble with a soft light shapes, really sort of covering all bases, and then we can start to add detail. So at the moment it's looking quite summery, isn't it? Well, we can start to build up the colours and add a little bit of depth and darkness to things just by using the same colours but with a much higher concentration. So I'm just using the same deep sap green here. Because what I love about Christmas these days is you see so many really creative colour schemes beyond just green and red. But of course you could absolutely do a bauble filled with classic sort of holly and ivy and all that kind of thing. But actually if you look, this has got a colour palette of green and red, but it's just not quite how you'd sort of expect to see it in first glance. So I'm just using my smaller brush. What have I got? I've got a size 2/10 to just start sort of darkening things a little bit. So if I get a bit of deep sap green and the turquoise together, maybe I can start sort of just connecting a few of these things, maybe turning them into berries. And the great thing about this stage is you can really start to sort of even up the space, fill in gaps if you need. it just starts to really take shape. You can add a little leaf here and there as well. And the other thing we're going to do is get a bit of gold. So I've got Liquitex metallic ink, but if you've bought the watercolor advent calendar, you'll have, if you bought the kit, there is a lovely metallic pair of colours in there, which is a nice option. But yeah, I'm sure you've probably got something shiny, even if it's a pen or anything really. So we're going to add little sort of accents of that later on. I'm adding little streaks of alizarin crimson to the petals on the flowers, possibly slightly sort of stylized inspiration of a poinsettia maybe. Anyway, that's looking really nice. What I'm going to do now is take some of this ink and I think I'm just going to use it as is. Sometimes you might thicken it up with a bit of sort of white acrylic or whatever, but I'm going to use it first on my little golden, my yellow ochre little sort of brush strokes, and I really want to add dots of it to the centres of the flowers once they are dry. But I can also use it to make a simple top to the bauble. And yet again, oh, I've got a hair on here. Things can be a bit wonky. That's all good. We'll let that dry and then we can add some extra details. And that's all looking really lovely. And just to finish off, I'm going to do a little bow on the top in alizarin crimson, and just again see the wobble, the sort of thinness of the ribbon, and you can sort of use it to fill up kind of whatever space you need filling up. And yeah, I think that's really lovely. And also I'm resisting the urge to go back in and like do extra finessing on little bits, but the whole point of these Christmas card designs is that we can do them quite fast, move on to the next. You could have like a production line going, paint a whole load of bases, then paint a whole load of one colour, do the next bit, do the next bit, and they'll all dry as you're painting the next one, which is the beauty of watercolour. Anyway, that is the finished piece. So I'll take it out and fold it, and there you go. That's what it looks like. You could add a little Merry Christmas or something like that. But I'm very happy with our first new Christmas card design of the year. And I know, you know, it's not December yet, but a lot of you ask me for Christmas card designs to get ahead, and so this is what we're doing. And don't forget, we have so many festive and wintry tutorials on the YouTube channel. All you need to do is go and search, look for anything Christmassy and wintry, and you can guarantee we've got it. So I will see you next time for a really gorgeous little sort of snowy cabin in the woods that has been voted for by my YouTube channel members. So you will see that on Thursday. Okay, until next time, bye!